Rancho Cordova man says he was defending his family when a burglar broke into his property early this morning.
Sacramento County Sheriff's investigators say the man shot and killed that suspect. This happened on at a business on Folsom Boulevard and West La Loma Drive. KCRA 3's Michelle Bandor is live with what happened. Michelle, how is that man doing right now?
Well, Cecil, Robert, he didn't want us to use his last name, and he's pretty shaken up and gets emotional talking about what happened, but he stands by his decision to shoot that intruder who broke into his business here, and then after that man was shot, he actually came out of the business and went over in between the gas station and the strip mall here and collapsed and then died in the parking lot. And Robert tells me it was self-defense.
All of a sudden the guy, boom, kicked the door, boom, it was that quick.
That was the moment 70-year-old Robert says he was forced to defend his life and the lives of his grandsons, ages 4 and 14.
We'd been dead, because if he would have got my gun when I pulled it out, because he continued to go towards me. He wasn't afraid of me.
Robert says he stays in the building, which he manages, and was asleep in the back room with the boys when the older grandchild woke him up.
Shook me, Papa, wake up, there's somebody breaking in. And I didn't hear the glass break.
Broken glass is still all over the floor, and Robert placed a large poster in the window frame. A man passing by gave us video of the crime scene when Rancho Cordova police closed off the parking lot Sunday morning. He understands why Robert pulled the trigger.
You have to protect yourself. You have to do it. If it's I have the kids and stuff like that, I have to protect them. I will definitely do that. It's your life, that's your blood, and you definitely have to do stuff like that.
Sheriff's deputies are investigating the deadly shooting as a homicide, but also say it should send a strong message to criminals.
Residents are fed up. Residents don't want to be a victim. Business owners don't want to be victims anymore, and they're taking their matters into their own hands. And this isn't something that we're encouraging vigilantism by any stretch, but at the same time, you have to applaud him. He demonstrated restraint. He did what he had to do to protect the people inside and including himself.
Robert says if faced with the same decision, he would put his life on the line for his family again.
Am I upset about him? Yes. I didn't want to break in, but I'm very happy that my babies are alive.
Yes, he kept telling us that over and over, that he was happy his grandchildren are okay. Now, Robert or the grandchildren, neither of them were hurt. Investigators say that Robert has been cooperative, and they don't believe that he will be arrested or face any charges in the shooting. Reporting live in Rancho Cordova, Michelle Bandor, KCRA 3 News.
Now, Michelle, what do we know about this suspect who died?
Well, the coroner's office, Cecil, has not yet identified the man. All we know is that he's a man who is in his 30s. Now, investigators say that he did not have a gun on him. Robert tells us that the suspect flashed a light in his face, and he saw some type of torch, some type of item that had a trigger on it, which is now in evidence.
Michelle.